The host's voice boomed through the packed auditorium. Have you ever avoided someone, even when the world expected you to face them? The audience shifted uneasily. Whispers rippled through the hall as cameras tightened their focus on the man who had evaded every major interview for months. Donald Trump. The host let the silence hang like a storm cloud. Tonight, he's finally here. But why did he avoid our show for so long? The room erupted, some cheering, others groaning. Flashbulbs flickered as Trump stepped onto the stage, composed yet carrying a strange softness in his eyes. Before the host could repeat the question, Trump lifted a hand. Before I answer, let me ask you all something. The crowd quieted instantly. Have you ever met someone who changed the way you see your own life? He said, without saying a single word. The audience leaned forward. In the front row sat a young woman with fierce determination in her eyes. Trump's gaze locked onto hers with a recognition that seemed to pass like a silent conversation. The host, sensing something he didn't understand, pressed on. Sir, with all due respect, why avoid this show? Trump inhaled slowly. He didn't look at the crowd or the host, or the cameras. He looked only at her. Because, he said softly, sometimes you're not avoiding a show. Sometimes you're protecting a moment that matters more than anything happening on stage. The audience buzzed. Who was she? Her name was Clara Jennings, a small-town school teacher who had come only to watch the interview. She never expected the cameras to swing toward her, or for Trump to look at her as if she were the reason he had been absent all along. Trump continued, voice steady but weighted. She is why I stayed away. Not politics. Not fear. Something personal, something that mattered more than headlines? Gasps echoed. Clara's cheeks flushed as memories resurfaced, memories she had hoped would never return to the spotlight. Years earlier, a twisted, exaggerated local scandal had threatened to destroy her career. Rumors spread, stories warped, her life nearly unraveled. What she never knew was that someone, silently and anonymously, had made sure the truth prevailed, that someone had been Trump. He stepped closer to the edge of the stage. Years ago, the media twisted a story involving Clara. It could have ruined her. I made sure it didn't. I stayed silent then, and even now, because protecting someone's dignity sometimes requires silence. The room held its breath. Clara remembered the mysterious phone call during her darkest night. A calm voice telling her to stay strong, that the truth would hold. She never knew who it belonged to. The host turned to Clara. Would you like to share what that meant to you? Clara's voice trembled but remained steady. It taught me resilience. It taught me that sometimes the people who help us the most are the ones the world never sees. Trump nodded, and that's why I couldn't come on this show earlier. I didn't want to turn someone's private struggle into public spectacle. Tonight felt right. The audience, so often eager for drama, found themselves quiet-reflective. Clara had rebuilt her life. Spent a decade teaching, mentoring, lifting up students who faced shadows like she once had. She never shared what happened. She assumed no one would ever know, but now the truth was here. Breathing in front of her. The host asked one final question. Mr. Trump, why reveal this now? Trump's expression softened. Because the world forgets that good deeds aren't always loud. Some victories are private, and waiting for the right moment can be the bravest choice of all. Clara whispered, barely audible, "Thank you for trusting me." A hush swept the room, a mix of silence, awe, and something unexpectedly human. They realized, slowly and collectively, that this story had shifted. It was no longer about politics or celebrity. It had become a story about integrity, courage, and the quiet power of humanity. Trump stepped back, giving Clara space. I stayed away from shows, headlines, and appearances, he said, because protecting someone else mattered more than being seen. Sometimes the right thing to do is remain silent until the moment is right. The host, visibly moved, addressed the crowd. This isn't just a story about avoiding a show. It's a story about respect, about recognizing the invisible struggles carried by the people around us. Whispers drifted through the room. Many nodded, thinking of times they had judged too quickly or overlooked someone's private battle. Clara, lifted a trembling hand to acknowledge the audience. She didn't speak, but she didn't need to. Her presence alone said everything. Trump continued. Life gives us moments like these. We can choose to be loud, or we can choose to protect and support quietly. Both require courage, but one leaves a deeper mark. The audience leaned in. The interview had transformed into something else entirely, a lesson in empathy, restraint, and moral bravery. Tears shimmered in Clara's eyes. She had never expected this night to become so personal. For years, she had carried her gratitude quietly, never imagining it would be spoken aloud. Trump's voice softened, but remained resolute. All of us have someone who shaped our journey from behind the scenes. Clara represents the silent victories, the ones the world rarely sees. The host realized the weight of the moment. So, staying away wasn't arrogance. It was respect. Exactly, Trump replied. And now is the right time because she's here stronger, braver, and deserving of honor without losing her dignity. A gentle wave of applause rose, not for a famous guest, but for the humanity in the story. Cameras captured the quiet exchange, the unspoken understanding, the respect that stretched far beyond headlines. Trump stepped into the center of the stage. In a world hungry for attention, the most courageous acts are often the quiet ones. Clara faced pressures few could endure, and she never wavered. My role wasn't to speak for her, it was to protect her. Clara felt warmth bloom in her chest relief, pride, and a new understanding. True kindness needed no spotlight. True courage didn't need applause. The host spoke gently. Do you think people still value private acts of kindness? Trump looked out across the room. Many don't, but they matter. Every choice to protect someone's dignity, to wait, to respect, those choices ripple farther than we can see. Tonight, Clara reminds us of that truth. The audience absorbed his words. Some wiped tears. Others nodded, silently resolving to be gentler, more deliberate, more compassionate. Finally, Clara spoke, her voice trembling yet firm. Thank you for trusting me all those years ago. Thank you for staying silent when the world might have condemned me. That trust let me rebuild my life, help others, and believe in goodness again. Trump smiled warmly. And thank you for showing resilience and dignity when the world was unkind. Tonight isn't about boasting, it's about honoring you. Applause swelled deep, heartfelt, human. Cameras captured the rare connection between two lives intertwined by an unseen act of kindness. It was more than a story. It was a reminder. Silent courage exists. Invisible victories matter, and they shape lives in ways seen only years later. The host stepped back, letting the moment stand on its own. The spotlight remained on Clara and Trump, a testament to influence that wasn't measured by fame, but by compassion. The audience fell into a thoughtful hush. Parents held their children closer. Students exchanged glances. Strangers whispered to one another. The night had become a lesson in empathy and protection. A young man in the back raised his hand. Sir, how do we apply this in our own lives? Trump smiled. Start small. Protect someone's dignity. Speak for someone who can't. Don't seek recognition. The greatest courage is often invisible. Clara felt her heart swell as she realized how her once private pain was now inspiring others. She had endured shame, fear, and silence. Now her story offered hope. The host finally understood. The real interview tonight isn't with me or the cameras. It's with the quiet choices that change lives. Trump nodded. Some moments require patience. Waiting isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Later, backstage, Clara sat alone for a moment, trying to process the whirlwind. She thought of her younger self, the fear, the humiliation, the sleepless nights, and now. She was honored for surviving quietly. Trump approached her, offering a gentle handshake. Resilience doesn't always need recognition, he said. But when it comes, it reminds the world what truly matters. Clara wiped her tears. I never thought my life could touch so many people, or that someone I'd never met would care enough to protect me without expecting anything. That, Trump replied softly, is humanity. Kindness you never see still shapes your future. That night, as the world reacted, the story took on a life of its own. Headlines praised the message. Social media overflowed with reflections about dignity, compassion, and unseen sacrifices. Teachers, parents, friends all shared their own stories of silent protectors. Clara read comment after comment, overwhelmed. What she once viewed as her darkest chapter had become a beacon of light. A week later, she received a simple envelope with no return address. Inside was a handwritten note. Clara, you reminded me why patience, discretion, and courage matter. Continue to inspire quietly. Some victories are unseen, but they are the most powerful. Donald J. Trump. Clara wept, smiling through her tears. The bond they shared, born from silence, trust, and protection, would stay with her forever. Her story began to change her community. Students wrote essays on integrity. Parents discussed empathy at dinner tables. Teachers reconsidered how to protect one another's dignity. The ripple effect grew. Months later, Clara spoke at a leadership conference. She told her story with humility, reminding